guys, welcome back to the show. And yes, we're going straight into a very interesting conversation. We're talking about AI,
Yes.
and I believe our guest is joining us right now, about now.
Yes, Dr. Flash. That is Dr. John Dada. So I wonder why I wore blue today. It's just repping Silverbird. That's our color, by the way. In case you don't know, the last time we wore green. Yeah, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We've done the intro earlier.
Okay, so just sorry to cut you there, but Dr. John Dada, popularly known as Dr. Flash. Why do they call you Dr. Flash? That's my first question.
Long story. But if I were to cut it short, let's just say it's something that came from way back in the early days when I started tech.
Okay, so you're a tech leader, entrepreneur, trained doctor who works at the intersection of healthcare AI. That is really huge. Wow, that is huge. All right, so let's talk about the topic, which of course is a very interesting conversation, beyond the hype, how tech and AI can solve real world problems. So let's talk about, address the elephant in the room. AI is everywhere now, but how much of it is actually value? Because we see a lot of AI everywhere, but how much of it is actually value versus the hype of AI?
I would take this from a standpoint of who is dealing with AI. Because now, for depending on your job, depending on what you do on a day-to-day, you might not even understand how AI adds value to someone else's sector. So for instance, you're in media, you are presenters, right? The kind of AI that is relevant to doctors might not be relevant to you. So even if I'm trying to describe, oh, AI is adding value to healthcare in this way to you, like you'd be like, yeah, okay. So it's all from a standpoint of who has the problem, what problem are we trying to address, and how can AI help us improve our lives when trying to solve this problem. So there is a lot of hype, yes. AI is going to take all the jobs. AI is going to, is going to turn into robots that will chase you out of your house, or the Terminator is coming for you, something like that. Right? But that is hype. There's actually value, and I would say it cuts down to industry-specific AI tools that help them solve specific problems within their workflow.
Okay. So thank you for that. That brings me to the question. When you hear businesses say, we need AI this, we need AI that, we need this automation, we need this automation that, what do you think they actually often misunderstand from the word, this AI? That's really caused a whole lot of confusion. But businesses be like, we need it. Or you hear this person, they'll be like, oh, let's copy and paste the same thing. But what do you think they often misunderstand from the concept?
Yeah, I would say they think AI is like this magic bullet that once you shoot that gun, everything changes. It's like abracadabra and like a genie. But it's not really a genie, right? Think of it like a tool that can do things faster the way you already do them, or maybe a slightly different way. But it's something you deploy to solve specific problems. It's that simple. Otherwise, you're just going to be moving in circles and getting confused. And a simple example, customer service, for instance. A lot of businesses have calls they have to take on a daily basis. They have to respond on WhatsApp, on Instagram, attend to customer questions. I have a problem with my order. Can you help me solve this? And sometimes, I'm sure we've all experienced this. You're trying to place an order from some small business somewhere, and the conversation is taking forever.
Yes.
And you're like,
what's going on?
What's going on, right? Now, that is one sample use case, which if every business deployed AI towards, would change the way commerce flows in an entire industry.
Okay, so I'm basically interested in the fact that you're into AI, you're a medical doctor. I don't think I've seen any. So that's like very, very two core fields, that's like good money there. So, but how has your background, of course, in medicine influenced the way you approach building tech?
Interesting question, because so I was in tech before medicine, right, for some little background.
Wow.
Yes.
So that means after that you went into medicine. That's some.
Yeah, kind of. So I was doing tech, then I went to medical school, then I came out of med school. I'm like, okay, yeah, I've seen a lot of things. Right.
Hi, Genie.
Yeah, genius. That's genius level. That's genius level.
I don't like to hot my own trumpet. But the idea is that being in certain backgrounds, being in certain spaces exposes you to certain ways of thinking, right? You get to become aware of how certain things work in real life versus how anyone else can assume. For instance, someone who has worked in healthcare knows what is likely to happen in healthcare. Someone who has never worked in healthcare has no clue. You just be imagining it from what you hear and say. So what that has done for me is help me understand that sometimes we want to move fast. Sometimes we want to make things, we want to disrupt things, we want to blow things up. But medicine is one of those places where you don't have that luxury. You're dealing with people's lives. And that was one of my challenges in medical school, because we had to do things by the book. And I was the kind of person who likes to, find my way around the corner, bend things and all of that. So having a background and being in tech now make me realize, okay, it's actually necessary to ensure that even though we want to move fast, there's some consideration for process, there's some consideration for risk and impact when building tech, because that is a big thing in medicine. You don't just disrupt things and ruin people's lives with your fancy ideas.
Actually, that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
So what are some of the biggest operational problems in Africa that AI can realistically fix today?
Biggest
Yeah,
operational.
think about it, yes.
So, well, I mentioned customer service. Then if we now take it down the line, we have something that happens in lots of businesses, for instance, reconciliations. If I give you an example, if you run through your accounts, your personal accounts, you try to see, okay, how much money have you spent on what and what. I'm sure most people don't do that. But like, if you try to do it, you realize the amount of work it is when you try to do that.
Yes.
Now, think of businesses that are actually making millions and millions or even billions in daily, monthly, yearly transactions. And they believe they are making money. But because they don't have standardized systems that can combine the transactions from all their multiple bank accounts, from all their POS terminals, from all their online payment channels, and make sense into everything in one place, they just assume, or they might just do a simple math and believe that everything is working fine. But a lot of money is being lost in businesses these days. And because we don't have efficient reconciliation products that make everything seamless, businesses don't know where to block and where to open. I think this is one place AI can actually do a good job. It actually already is doing, but if it were, adopted on a wider scale, our economy should do much better.
Okay, so just looking to the focus area of healthcare, which is a pressured, sector in Nigeria and Africa. How do you think tech can change that whole sector and space?
I would say sadly and excitingly, because it's a two-pronged thing. Our healthcare in Africa, even in Nigeria to be specific, has deeper-rooted problems that we can't just layer tech on top, right? That's the first problem.
Yes.
So there's an infrastructure problem, there's a people problem. A lot of our doctors,
But there's not a lot of automation now going on. Like go to doctors, diagnostic automations, things going on, seriously automated now.
exactly. But that still doesn't change the fact that you need someone to handle a lot of these things, right? So what tech can do is help us bridge the gaps of the fundamental problems, one. If I take, for instance, there are cases where a doctor, because he gets a higher pay by living in the UK, he is not going to work in a Nigerian hospital. But tech can make it possible to still access the intellect, access the services of this doctor remotely, so that
telemedicine.
those in Nigeria, exactly, can still benefit
Telemedicine.
from, his massive wealth of knowledge and diagnostic skills, right? So telemedicine is one. If we were to, just pick a few, but yeah.
Nice.
leave it at
There's so
that.
much opportunities in that space.
Yes. So we look at Nigeria that has incredibly tech talent. We have gifts. We have people in various industries doing well. Matter of fact, there's been a backlash on this money point CEO, but that's another
gonna come to
question.
that.
So there's this concern around retention and scaling. What are we getting right, and what is it that we need to fix?
So we have a lot of smart people, rightly said. As a matter of fact, when I'm hiring people, when I still used to hire people, because I kind of slowed down a bit, I used to prefer hiring Nigerians to Indians or Eastern Europeans, because aside the cultural familiarity, we are a very smart people, right? That's a given. The challenge that most organizations might meet is that the distribution of this intelligence is not wide. You have them in clusters in certain institutions that have the smartest people. Certain institutions might have a small, narrow distribution. And then being able to recognize them out of the noise. We have lots of good talkers, people who can present well. Oh yes, this and that. They have a fantastic CV. They know how to model their CVs. They know how to game the presentation system. When it comes to actually doing the real work, they might fall short, right? So imagine an organization that has actually spent time screening someone, thinking they can do this because their screening system was not able to filter out noise from the real value. They end up thinking that all the people who seem good are actually not good. So that's one problem, filtering systems. Then training is also another thing. And I would say that is one place we have done a good job and we can amplify it more. I mean, if we think about a few startups in the past that was their business model, training software engineers and making them available as global talent, that was a very good thing. I would also see that is what has saved my company in the grand scheme of things, because Even my engineering leads right now joined as interns several years ago, right? So it's one thing that works, and I believe a lot of organizations should put in more effort there. More graduate trainee programs, more internship programs, give them opportunities to scale up the ladder and improve themselves, and
Thank you
they'll
for
be
that.
loyal to you.
Thank
Okay,
you
so
for
speaking
that.
of employability and just referencing the money points to your conversation and comment, how do we train young Nigerians to developers, especially to think beyond coding and towards problem solving, because that's all they know, back end, you know,
Yeah.
and they don't really want to go beyond that. So how can we train them to really develop skills that are not just about coding and coding and coding, you know?
A good question. So I always repeat this thing, forgive me, technology is a tool to solve a problem. If you do not know a problem to solve, you get stuck on the technology and think that is all that matters. So the idea is immerse them in problems. For instance, the engineering interns that joined us in the early days, we didn't make them start writing code immediately. They went to stay with the customer success team for like a week or two to see the kind of problems they were facing from a customer standpoint. Right? This then gave them a kind of perspective of, okay, what is the impact of my technology? What can my technology do to help the lives of my customers, since I can see the problems the customers are facing? So I'll say the solution to that is really immersion. Get them into the problem. Let them relate with the customers. Let them be aware of the business decisions or the business problems, so they can, you know, maximize creativity.
Okay, so it has to be practical. I like the way you're really dissecting it to give us full information into it. So now, what kind of skills do you think will matter most in an AI-driven future? You know, everybody wants to just learn how to, you know, use AI. Some want to start making it, like using it for animations. Different industries, they just want to learn one thing that, AI is going to take our jobs. Let's go and learn machine learning. Let's just learn one thing. What are the practical skills that you think is needed for an AI-driven future?
Well, so the truth is, the skills are going to keep changing. Everything is going to keep changing. What you learn today and the next, before, it used to take like maybe 2 or 3 years before knowledge became irrelevant or outdated.
Yeah.
Right? But now it's happening monthly, right? So you can learn something.
It's overstimulating.
It's
right?
overstimulating.
Exactly.
It's literally overstimulating. But then again, what kind of skills you think will matter most in an AI-driven future?
Yeah.
What skills?
So it's the skill to quickly adapt. Like, that is the core skill, because if something I learned last December is now becoming outdated just 5 months down the line, it means I need to have a mental frame that allows me quickly adapt, even if not 100%, but I'm able to be aware of what has changed and how it can benefit my current process. So I'll say adaptability, right? It's
Okay, so for professionals who feel very overwhelmed, I just mentioned overstimulating now, so you see. So for professionals who feel very overwhelmed by technology, what should they begin with? Like a baby step for them to take to be able to accept, in order for them to adopt this thing called technology.
I wish I had a perfect answer for that.
You need to have, because I mean, it's really, really overwhelming for some.
I would say let's do proximity. Let's look at what is closest to each person's sector, each person's industry, each person's profession, and find what are the adjacent tools that others within that sector are making use of, and maybe learn and build from there. Because it's going to be much more relatable when you see that, for instance, you are in media, other presenters, other people in media are already doing this particular thing to solve this particular media problem. Then, okay, I can start with that and progress, as against trying to just imagine something new. It's going to be like diving into the ocean without a life raft. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
but just to add, what drives the problems that you choose to solve? Because of course, all these intersections are a lot. You know, what is the key what's the key problem you choose to solve?
I tend to be a fan of scratch your own itch. So we use that in Techland to say that be your first customer. Right? So what happens to me? I'm going about my life and something happens and I'm like, why, this is a very frustrating experience. What can be done about it? And then I'm thinking, I'm like, oh wait, tech can actually solve this. I'm like, okay, let me see what I can build, right? So almost every single thing I've built in my entire lifetime, if I mention some of the things, you'll laugh, right? For instance, when I was in medical school, we have this epidemiology project where we do some research and we're meant to make publications. We have to gather data and all of that. There was a tool that lecturers expected us to use. And when I looked at it, I was like, there's no way I'm going to use this thing. Because my colleagues who spend maybe 3 nights, 4 nights trying to input their data into that thing, sometimes they have to pay people to get it done. And I'm like, why? It's just software. And I can make something better. So I decided, okay, instead of going to waste my time on this process, I'll build my own, use it, and maybe I'll let my colleagues
To use,
use it as
They
well.
pay for it. They pay for it.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that. I love that.
Yes, you just mentioned like you building stuff from scratch. If you mention all of the things you've built, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So how do you know when an idea is actually worth building? How do you know it is worth, let's use the word dying for?
No, it's a very important question because it's one of the advice I give to budding startup founders nowadays is, okay, yes, we have ideas, but the world isn't exactly the way we picture it in our minds.
Yeah.
We need to be aware of reality and ensure that we don't spend our time on something that isn't going to work, right? So there are many steps to this, but the core thing I would always say is, okay, have you identified the problem first, right? And this problem, what is the volume of the people that have the problem? How important is it to them, right? So you can decide you want to solve a problem that's, it's a problem, but I don't really mind. Like, I can cope with it. Versus something that's, I need this out of my life. So we call it painkillers and vitamins, right? You can do without vitamins, all right? You can decide to take vitamin C today, next tomorrow, okay. But you feel a headache, and you're trying to work, and your head is banging, throbbing headache. You're like, oh no, please get me paracetamol, right? Now, if we have those two comparisons, you can tell that making paracetamol is going to be more successful than making vitamins in the room of people that have headaches, right? Because no one needs vitamin C for a headache, but you need paracetamol for a headache, right? So who has a headache? Can I make paracetamol for that headache? Not can I make vitamin C for a headache? That kind of analogy.
Just slowly wrapping up, but for those who do not know how to use tech, but they have the entrepreneurial skills, how do they leverage, for example, you code and do all those things, I'm sure. So, for example, I want to, do that, but I don't have, what can I do about that? I don't know how to code, I don't know those things, nothing like that, but I want to use AI, in my space.
I would say thank God, because right now, it has been made way much easier.
Exactly. I don't have to code.
Yeah, you don't have to code, actually. There are a lot of AI tools that you can just type your idea, tell it what you want, and it's going to be
They create the app for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, ooh,
You
nice.
can build your website for you.
Okay.
Exactly.
So, but what was been the hardest hardest lesson entrepreneurship has taught you?
It's similar to what I was saying earlier. It's that the way you perceive things might not always be real. Right? You need to. Your mind is not someone else's mind. You need to get into their minds to understand what matters to them, because you are not going to pay yourself for your products. They are the ones to pay. Right? So you need to understand them. You need to understand the people. You need to be observant to get the right information and build on that.
Nice.
Okay, this is
Quick
more
fire.
like either a yes or
I
a no. I
know.
don't think there's in between with this question I want to ask you. So for
won't
seeing
let you
now or
get me.
projecting, do you see Nigeria become a true AI and innovation powerhouse, or you just see that it's too early, or we are still copying and pasting?
That doesn't sound like yes or no.
But I know you have to pick, but I know you have to just pick one. Where do you see Nigeria going?
Yeah, we're a powerhouse to a good extent, yes. We have the talent
Okay.
from that angle.
So
Where's the
just
money going to?
quick fire questions. What's that one thing young innovators need to know?
Getting into tech does not automatically equate to money.
Ah, really?
Get into tech does
I
not
don't believe that.
automatically equates to money. But I used to have a notion of the mindset that once you're in tech, you learn 1, 2, breezy, the money starts rolling in.
That's why I said it.
Okay.
Okay, can I ask one? Say you pick one now. AI assistant or human assistant, which you prefer?
AI assistants.
You displace human.
Not fully, but I'll pick an AI assistant.
See why we should be scared?
There are reasons, all right.
Media or tech, which pulls your heart more?
Media or tech?
Yeah, sorry, medicine or tech?
Oh, okay. Tech pulls my heart more.
Wow, I would assume the love for people.
People are very dynamic.
Are you a robot?
Do I look like one? Should I do the robot dance?
You've been doing the moves lately.
Go ahead and call you Mr. Flash. Dr. Flash.
One tech myth Nigerians need to stop believing. One tech myth.
Oh, I've already said the money one.
Yeah.
That's the biggest one. Another is tech is easy. Right? It's not easy. Some people think it's really easy, like we're just playing,
Yeah.
It looks very sexy. When they show you in the movies, you're like,
Yeah.
oh,
I
5
like it,
minutes,
it's
I'm
cool.
in. No, those things are lies. Those things are lies.
Okay. I've asked mine on the old.
Okay,
Question.
like I said, one thing that's okay. one tech myth Nigerians need to stop believing.
I should say another one.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. That you can get by building anything and become the next Steve Jobs.
Okay. Okay. So it's already safe to say that Nigeria has an abundance of talent, like we asked earlier, and that we just need to keep leveraging the power of technology as best as we can. And you are at the forefront of medicine and tech, but you seem to be more passionate about tech than medicine, which I assume should have the more, because we need to solve the problems of healthcare in Nigeria. But tech is where you belong to. Medicine is just, I just did it. I just went to medicine school for how many years? Almost eight years.
So
that's not being.
So let's place it like this,
medicine.
right? It's like, of course, tech in medicine. I have a lot of healthcare tech that I'm building. I mean, my primary company is healthcare focused, right? So it's where are my skills best utilized, right? If I'm in clinical practice, I'll frustrate a lot of my senior colleagues. That's the first thing. Because I'm going to keep thinking of ways to change the way things are done. And I got in trouble for that in medical school. I think during my housemanship, I almost had some issues with, so I was like, okay, I think this is not the best environment for me to be. I need to find what I can change here, but not in clinical practice.
Okay,
So
I like
toxic.
outliers like you, but anyways, thank you so much for coming. You're a real outlier. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
One thing that is key to us on Tech Tuesday is that tech should not just be impressive, it should be useful, and the future will belong to those building solutions, not just talking about them, practical solutions. If every one of us builds a solution, the world will be a better place to live in using AI in the right way.
Exactly, in the right way.
In the
For me, I
righteous
can't
way.
wait to utilize all of it. I want to make money from it. Though. That's
It's
my
going
win.
to take time.
All right, so we have a word for today from Dag Hamas. From Dag Amax Joe.
All right, thank you so much to our guest, Dr. John Dada, who is popularly known as Dr. Flash, for coming on the show. As we ride talking about AI and how we can use AI practically to change the space of our world and the use of AI across sectors. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. I believe we're wrapping up.
Yes, we're done. If you are not following us on our social media platforms, why not at Silverbird TV? And to follow us on our playback or live stream, visit our website at www.silverbirdtv.com/live. We can't wait to read your comments and also like as well.
Bye, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.